Stop letting your subconscious eject you from the most powerful computer in existence. We're treating your REM cycle like deep-coded architecture, using neuroplasticity hacks to stabilize the holographic state before the reality sync error triggers. It's time to stop waking up and start taking full command of the dream. Welcome everyone to the simulation frequency. What if lucid dreaming isn't a dream at all? What if it's an interface, a temporary bridge between two operating systems? One system is your waking mind, and the other is a reality generator running beneath conscious awareness. And every time you become lucid, the system detects an unauthorized user attempting to access administrator privileges. Today, we're investigating one of the strangest bugs in human consciousness, the instant wake-up safeguard. If you've ever become lucid before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're dreaming. Everything seems normal. Then suddenly you realize, wait a minute, I'm dreaming. And within seconds, the dream collapses. Session terminated. User disconnected. Back to waking reality. Why does the brain seem determined to eject us from the moment we become aware? According to modern neuroscience, ordinary dreaming occurs while portions of the brain associated with self-reflection and executive control are operating at reduced capacity. This is one reason dreams can become so bizarre. The logical checker is partially offline, but during lucid dreaming, something unusual happens. Self-awareness begins to reactivate. Researchers have observed increased activity in regions associated with metacognition and conscious awareness during lucid states. In simple terms, part of the waking mind comes online inside the dream, and that creates a fascinating conflict. The dream simulation wants immersion. The conscious observer wants control. The result may be an instability event. What many lucid dreamers call getting too excited may actually represent a sudden spike in awareness that overwhelms the balance required to keep the dream running. Imagining opening too many programs on a computer. Resources become strained, the environment begins degrading, and the session crashes. From a simulation perspective, this looks remarkably similar to a security mechanism. The moment the user realizes they're inside the system initiates a shutdown sequence. Now, let's call this mechanism the instant wake-up safeguard. Not because neuroscience has officially named it that, because it accurately describes the experience. The question is, can it be debugged? Let's talk about neural remapping. Most beginners attempt to control the dream immediately. This is the equivalent of gaining access to a server and instantly trying to rewrite the operating system. Bad idea. Experienced lucid dreamers report greater success when they stabilize awareness first. The goal is not maximum consciousness. The goal is sustained consciousness. So think of it as reduced processing load. You want enough awareness to remain lucid, but not so much awareness that the save point interprets you as fully awake. This creates a hybrid state, part dream, part observer, part participant, part programmer. So once lucidity begins, dream architecture becomes unstable. Textures fade, objects disappear, your vision can become blurry. The environment begins losing fidelity. This is where sensory grounding becomes important. Touch nearby surfaces, examine textures, rub your hands together, focus on physical details. Many lucid dreamers report that these actions dramatically increase the stability. Why? One possibility is that attention acts as a rendering engine. The more attention devoted to the dream environment, the more computational resources become allocated to maintaining it. So, in other words, what you focus on gets rendered. What you ignore begins to dissolve. When you're in your normal waking life, make sure to do repetitive reality checks through the day. You can choose one of your liking, something that you'll remember to do frequently throughout the day. Repetition causes this pattern in your neural pathway to begin to form, so you do induce these same things in your actual dreams. So you're inclined to check it so many times repetitively in the real life, and while you're in the dream, that repetitive action stays in your subconscious. So you will inherently begin to check for yourself in the dream. Let's talk about the greatest threat to lucidity. It's often emotional overload. The moment a dreamer realizes, I did it, the body responds. Heart rate increases, excitement surges, and the dream destabilizes. Session is basically terminated. Instead of amplifying excitement, experienced lucid dreamers often do the opposite. They slow down, observe, breathe, remain curious rather than reactive. Think of this as creating a buffer between awareness and awakening, not fighting the system, but working with it. And this is where things become truly interesting. Many lucid dreamers report experimenting with impossible tasks, manipulating environments, changing locations instantly, interacting with dream characters, exploring abstract concepts, even rehearsing real-world skills. From a scientific perspective, this may represent an unusual state of consciousness simulation, a virtual environment generated by the brain itself. But from a philosophical perspective, the implication becomes much larger. If consciousness can enter a simulated reality generated by the mind, how certain are we that waking reality is fundamentally different? And that question brings us back to the original mystery. Maybe the instant wake-up safeguard isn't preventing us from controlling dreams. Maybe it's preventing us from asking deeper questions about the nature of reality itself. The moment the dreamer becomes aware of the dream, the system pushes back. But what happens when the dreamer learns to stay? What happens when awareness remains stable? What happens when the observer stops getting ejected? And perhaps the most unsettling question of all, if there is a safeguard inside dreams, could there be safeguards inside waking reality too? And if so, how would we know?
Born in the code that avatar breathe, subconscious scripts like roots beneath the trees. Dopamine sparks, serotonin flows, electrical charges writing what we know. Half of me moving, half of me gone. What is the difference when the code runs on? I'm dream walking in a simulation between the glitch and the revelation. Autopilot runs but the player decides it can program my fate. I can shift my life, plugged to the earth, binaural skies, flashing lights, rewire my mind. Grounded in charge and trained in sound, I find the reality I want all around. Pain is a signal, a thalamus gate. Turn off the circuit, the warning can wait. Mirror my neurons, I feel what you do. Empathy copies reality too. The subconscious whispers, I'll take the wheel. It runs what I practice, it makes it real. From breath in the gut to coherence of heart, I am the dreamer who programs the start. Dream walking in a simulation between the glitch and the revelation. Autopilot runs but the player decides I can program my fate. I can shift my life, plugged to the earth, binaural skies, flashing lights, rewire my mind. Grounded in charge and trained in sound, I find the reality I want all around. Deep sleep repairs anesthesia blinds. Lucid dreams open the sandbox of time. Sleepwalkers wander with bodies alone, while a conscious mind drifts far from home. But I stand at the seam where waking is dreaming and dreaming redeems. With novel intentions, a micro-step true. I shift the whole sim with the smallest. From dream I can turn the glitch and the revelation. Autopilot runs but the player decides I can program my fate. I can shift my life, I can climb to your earth, binaural skies, flashing lights, rewire my mind. Grounded in charge and trained in sound, I find the reality I want all around.